those sorts of issues are things that we're balancing as we try and figure out how best to implement this. So if folks have feedback on that, that would be helpful.
Thank you, Catherine.
I also want to add, this is Nick Sanchez from South Coast AQMD. There was the earlier question about, does SoCalGas have advanced warning when there's monitoring? So for our agency, we typically respond on an annual basis to do inspections of a facility. Those of you that live in the community know the logistics of Aliso Canyon is a little bit unique. It's not a facility that you can just sort of enter. There's a main gate, and to traverse the facility with the roads does present a challenge where you're typically not going to surprise them if we came on site to do an inspection. It's just the logistics and the topography of the location. But we also respond to complaints. And so when we get a complaint, we do a process where, we validate the odor from the complainant, and then we trace it back to a source. And so we do a combination of measurements, either from taking samples on site or trying to go back, with our permitting knowledge of a facility. We typically know the emission sources, and obviously if it's a leak, with safety purposes in mind, we try to locate the source of that leak. So even though there may not be the goal of sort of monitoring without a facility knowing, we do have various techniques. So we try to identify the source, and whatever we can do independently, we can, but sometimes we do have to involve the facility. But it doesn't, the goal is to try to identify the problem and remediate it. But obviously this is a little bit unique of a facility, but with the overhead monitoring and other methods, fence line, whatever, we do everything we can to try to identify the source as best we can, to inform us and as well as relay that information to the community.
Thank you, Nick. I appreciate that. I see the questions in the Q&A, but I also see some folks who have had their hands up patiently, and I know you're not actually raising it. It's a computer button, but I'm going to move to those. So Patty Gluck, please forgive me if I'm getting folks' name wrong.
Okay.
I am going to unmute you and allow you to speak.
Okay, thank you. It's been 732 days, more than 2 years since the consent decree was announced, 569 days since the agreement was okayed by a judge, and all that is quite a while before COVID hits. So I don't understand why this has not been enacted before that. There's almost 2 million residents in the valley who've been exposed to the benzene and other BTEX carcinogens, and we're exposed on a daily basis, causing many of us to develop medical conditions, including cancer. And now with the pandemic, many of us are in the high-risk group for complications. So we have to wonder, what was the real reason driving this delay when every other part of the consent decree was put into motion? To say that we are disappointed is an understatement. And I do have a relevant question, even though you might not think so, that I'm on the community advisory group for the Aliso Health Study, and we've been trying to get a full, complete list of chemicals from SoCalGas. I know the health department's been trying to help us with this, and we found out that the county council has been blocking a subpoena to obtain this complete list, and it's so important because there may be additional chemicals that need to be looked at by these monitors and for the health study. So we are very concerned about this. Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. That was impressive at exactly a minute and a half. Scott, I'm going to turn to you on this one.
Hi, Scott Coon from County Council. Again, I would not agree that County Council is blocking anything. Any communications that we would have with our clients, unfortunately, our attorney-client privilege, and I'm not able to get into specifics of that, but I know that the Public Utilities Commission has been trying to get the information that was requested. I know there's a proceeding related to that going on. The PUC is trying to get that information. So that's really all I can say at this time.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate that. And Patty, I do want to address also the delay, and it's not that I have a different answer to give you, but we are telling you what the delay is and what has caused it. There isn't another answer. I know one question we had in some of our written pre-questions was how much time are we all spending on this? And I know how this looks from the community. I very much get how it looks, but I can assure you that the folks on this call and in the ELISA Fund Committee are working on this every week. There's not a week that's gone by that we haven't been working on it. I know that doesn't make you feel better, and I know that doesn't give you the answer that you want, but it's where we're at, and we are working to move this along. Okay, I'm going to move to the next